My name is Mark Severance. I work as the Director of CRE Sales for RKL eSolutions. And with me, I have my esteemed colleague, Ben Hofferman. Ben?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks very much for taking this time. Looking forward to this conversation today. Our previous brunch clubs sometimes are a little bit more of a formal presentation. We have a PowerPoint slide deck and we walk through it. This is really more of a conversation. And the topic today is construction payroll. And construction payroll is a topic that should be near and dear to every construction company and those in the accounting and payroll and HR department. And so, Ben, I just want to start off our conversation today. Other than the inherent thrill of discussing such a compelling subject, why have we chosen this topic for our August brunch club?
Well, first, again, thanks, Mark, for putting this discussion together on construction payroll automation. And welcome to everyone who joined to listen today. Payroll is the secret sauce for keeping hard hats happy and the accountants even happier. Payroll is evolving, and your company should as well. Even the traditional brick and mortar companies need a digital transformation. We need to move away from these old processes in payroll and convert them to a more streamlined and efficient system. As you've pointed out in the past, digital transformation is an ongoing process rather than a one-time event. Payroll is a foundational element to our companies, and it often serves as a step towards a more automated and digital workplace. We should all have the goal of moving all of our systems to the cloud. I think we could all use a little digital AI assistant.
Makes sense. I understand. There's a lot of things you said there I think we'll get into in a little bit subsequently in our conversation. But before we move on to our first official question, I'm just curious, in your role as RKL's Chief Construction Officer, you speak with a lot of companies, a lot of those that are our clients, as well as others who we aren't working with yet. I'm just curious, what are you hearing as you have these discussions from various folks? Kind of what's the word on the street about construction payroll?
Well, as you know, our role is to guide clients through their technology options and support them in making the best possible decisions for their organizations. So that process starts with a lot of active listening, ensure that we truly understand so that we're able to provide valuable insights. We hear them often discuss the human capital management challenges. It's a reoccurring conversation surrounding, again, our most valuable asset, people. It's a challenge to attract and retain people, effectively managing the workforce and benefits, and the desire to create a cohesive system that integrates everything from pre-employment to ongoing team member management. As we know, technology impacts people. We recognize that people are our greatest asset and that technology is the first interaction and sets the tone with our clients. This is why we have to emphasize the importance of a modern solution that can make a positive impression from the start. Payroll is central to that employee experience. Employee satisfaction is crucial and directly influences the overall employee experience. We strive for a system where it's simple for employees to log in with ease, access and understand their pay and benefits, make updates without hassle, experience a seamless and frictionless interaction with their employer systems. We're seeing much interest in the adoption of payroll processing and human and capital management systems.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding. Thank you, Ben. And just, I guess my first question, kind of as we dive in a little bit deeper, sometimes it can seem like payroll is static. For some of our clients or other construction companies that we speak with, they've been doing payroll in similar ways for a really long time. They have people in the payroll department, on the payroll team, who have these processes that really haven't changed very much over the course of 10 or even 20 years. So as a result, sometimes companies in construction are content to maintain the status quo. It's kind of one of those, if it's not really broken, why fix it? So I'm just curious, what changes have you seen in the marketplace in recent years?
It's funny. I had to do math by hand when I started my career, and then they allowed some calculators out there. Then I got some software, and I still hope that one day I'm going to get an AI assistant in the cloud. We want to move away from those mundane parts and focus on what needs our attention, like a ping from my information system to let me know that there's an exception or that Mary logged a sick day today. We want to elevate our thinking. We want to have easy access to all this information. We don't want to spend our time accumulating and entering data. A lot of modernization has occurred in payroll. Despite payroll being viewed as static, it changed with the incorporation of technology. Construction payroll has been revolutionized by digital enhancements. In particular, with the integration of cloud-based payroll systems, these systems offer real-time data access. Plus, enhanced mobility facilitates better management directly from the job sites. Employees can easily clock in and out of job sites to specific jobs, cost codes, and tasks. This streamlines the time tracking and improves efficiency. Supervisors can approve time entries, passing accurate information on to the accounting department with ease. Technology has added the ability to meet complex reporting requirements in a newly and expanding complex tax environment, and cloud technology supports our increased security needs.
Good stuff. You mentioned a lot of benefits there, and we're going to talk more about those benefits in just a little bit, but maybe just kind of take what you've shared and summarize it by saying, what does all that mean for those who might be listening in?
Right. It's a lot simpler. What was once a hodgepodge of applications can be modernized into a unified system. Modernization should bring substantial improvements such as employee onboarding, self-service employee portals, and overall system integration. We must embrace change. Unlike the old days, there are options to liberate ourselves from these outdated processes. Payroll systems may not attract talent, but they can chase it away. Efficient and modern payroll systems are not just about internal efficiency, it's also a crucial factor in attracting and retaining talent.
Yeah. Okay. So here's an easy one, Ben. I've got to include a softball here for you. If it's been more than a few years since somebody or one of our clients or any construction company for that matter has looked at their payroll processes, should they take a fresh look?
Mark, what part of our organization shouldn't we review on a regular and frequent basis? Where don't we need improvement in our process? Where do we believe that once we establish something that change isn't going to occur? So we need to evolve. We need to monitor our current situation and make sure it aligns with procedures that were established previously.
Outstanding. Okay, good. I'm glad you answered that correctly. That would have been awkward if you had said, no, don't review it. So thanks for that.
The easy poll questions.
There we go. Okay, next question on my mind today is you mentioned outsourcing payroll as a potentially good option. And that may be familiar with some. For others, it may be different as they've done payroll in-house for many years. So talk a little bit more about why outsourcing payroll and HR is a potentially good option.
Well, maybe it's akin to recognizing that this is really a subcontracting. We recognize on our jobs that it's often more efficient to subcontract, sort of like knowing I can swing a hammer, but shouldn't be the one building your house. Subcontracting offers risk reduction. Modern timekeeping solutions can automatically flag exceptions that violate your organization's policies and alert managers. These subcontractors and providers are trained with thousands of regulations across multiple jurisdictions. They can help identify departures from rules and regulations. They often provide a better employee experience. They gain access to intuitive self-service platforms for viewing pay information and managing benefits. Payroll is something you just can't get wrong. Outsourcing can help prevent those problems, but they can also assist in getting them resolved quickly when they do occur. Providers allow our teams to focus on items that require review and analysis. They handle the mundane tasks. It's a bridge to the cloud. I think we all see the cloud as the future. This is a giant leap in your automation journey, setting the stage for more innovative and efficient operations in the long run.
Yeah, good stuff. Now you said something, Ben, that was I just wanted to emphasize there. You said payroll is something that you just can't get wrong, as in it's absolutely essential that you get it right. But the opportunity or the potential to in fact get it wrong increases, if I'm hearing you correctly, when you bear all that burden internally.
Absolutely. I'm sure some of our clients are still using manual timesheets out in the field. Can I read that number? Can I read that job? There's always been transcription errors. Even once we move on to the Excel age, once again, people are coding jobs wrong, picking the wrong tasks. Modern technology can allow us to use smart tools. It can know which job I'm working on and what tasks are appropriate for me to choose from. It can help streamline the correct choice of information and reduce those errors.
Excellent. Really helpful. What I hear from you is there's so many benefits from exploring alternative payroll solutions, especially if it's something that you've been doing it a certain way and you recognize there's some real challenges. So all that makes great sense. And I hope that our listeners today are getting more and more of an understanding of what could be possible and are motivated to take a closer look, perhaps at some of what those alternatives might be. Now, one of the things that people might push back on, and they say, okay, we hear modern technology, we hear various benefits. We hear the opportunity to reduce our risk, to increase our capability to remain compliant with all sorts of complex regulations. But, but maybe the ace up their sleeve, if they're saying we'd rather not change, self-performing payroll is certainly much less costly. Yes?
Well, it's not just the dollars and hard costs. There are soft costs, and it's a constant learning cycle. Imagine yourself getting all the laundry done, and then along comes the family. Maintaining a level of expertise requires constant work. I understand why you might think performing payroll could be less costly, but when you factor in the scope of responsibilities and potential risks, the financial picture can change. You have to weigh the employee experience, asking what impact does a rigid compliance schedule put on our human resources? Again, our most valuable kind. Can our HR folks be more productive if we reduce the mundane keystrokes and the compliance requirements? We have to understand the overhead implications. In-house payroll often comes with elevated overhead due to the need for a dedicated team. This not only includes the salaries, but the financial commitment to sustain the function within the company, which includes sequestration of the data and people, software investments and maintenance, some risk factors. The compliance landscape of tax laws and regulations has so many risks within it. Small errors lead to significant penalties, whereas outsourcing can bring expertise in compliance, therefore reducing our risk. We have those continuous training needs. Keeping the payroll staff up to date with the latest tax laws and the best practices is a continuous endeavor that requires both time and financial resources. Securing the sensitive data, and then, of course, the repercussions of mistakes. When these factors are considered, outsourcing payroll can be a strategic move to mitigate costs and risks and enhance the overall efficiency and security of our payroll function.
That's helpful. Yeah, thanks, Ben. And I appreciate you just kind of building it out there in terms of saying we should think about the cost as not just dollars for what a payroll solution or HR solution costs, but also the human capital costs for our employees. Again, that's very helpful and I think provides some excellent perspective. Now, I want to circle back to a couple of things you shared earlier. You spoke about benefits of a modern HR system, and you really focused in on a few ways that it could be used as a strategic way to invest in employees at each stage of their journey with the company. So let's review that a little bit more and maybe just kind of highlight again some of those ways that a more modern strategic human capital management system that includes payroll can be one way to invest in your employees.
Well, with labor shortages, typically means folks can pick their employer. How does it represent your company if your onboarding is not organized? It's the entrance to your organization and often my first experience with the company. Would it turn away anyone from applying if the process was not easy and clear? Further, it provides a central location for information dissemination. And our teammates have high expectations for easy-to-use systems. What does it say when we don't give employees quality tools?
Yeah, that makes great sense. I'm reminded of a discussion that you and I had just recently with one of our clients who, as we were talking about some of these very same topics, they said, we need to make a renewed commitment to investing in our employees. This is actually one of the core commitments or tenets of our company culture. Perhaps we've gotten away from it a little bit, but we are going to invest in some of these technologies in order so that our employees can say, yes, we have the tools that we need to do our jobs well. And it facilitates our strategic investment and contribution to the organization. Any other thoughts on the strategic nature of these systems that we're talking about?
Oh, so true, Mark. First, with the labor shortages I mentioned, potential employees have the luxury of choosing their employer. So a modern HR system can significantly enhance the appeal by streamlining the recruitment and onboarding process, making it efficient and user-friendly. This plays a role in attracting top talent in a competitive market, as the initial experience could set the tone for the employee's journey with my company. First impressions matter, and the onboarding and process is often the first real interaction I have with the company's internal systems. An organized and smooth onboarding process, facilitated by a modern HR system, could send a strong message about the company's values and its commitment to the employee experience. Demonstrates that the company is forward-thinking, values efficiency, and cares about making employees feel welcome and well supported from day one. By investing in a modern HR system, a company is not just streamlining the administrative tasks, but it's also investing in its people. Such systems often come with tools for career development, training, and benefits. Management can show employees that the company is invested in their growth and well-being. This can lead to increased job satisfaction, higher retention rates, and a stronger company culture. Lastly, it reflects on the company values. How a company handles onboarding and manages its workforce can reflect its overall values and operational excellence. A modern HR system can help embody a culture of innovation, respect for employees' time, and attention to detail, which can enhance the company's reputation both internally and in the broader industry. My conclusion, a modern HR system could be much more than a tool for managing employee data. It could be a strategic asset that helps to attract and retain the best talent. It fosters positive work environment, reinforces the company's commitment to its employees and its values.
Yeah, that's excellent. The other thing that I would just add to what you shared, Ben, and sorry, I'm getting blinded here by I think a reflection here, but I was just going to say, even in terms of when you look at that, it's true for individuals. It's also true for the ways that individuals collaborate with their colleagues. So if they have the right tools, they don't necessarily have to communicate in inefficient ways with their colleagues, or their colleagues aren't confused by, well, what did you mean by that when you scribbled that on that piece of paper? And so we find that a system like this, payroll, HR, or other systems that automate the employee experience, not only improve the employee experience for them as an individual, but also as they seek to collaborate with different teams and parts of the organization.
100%. What it does is, with that central repository kind of concept, it means that everybody can be informed. Project managers, supervisors, leadership can all access the same information, the same notes, the same conversations. We can all be on the same page at the same time. I think companies struggle with that, with the silos of data that we have over the years. Getting everybody onto an integrated, unified platform really does help streamline efficiency and does help keep everybody informed and on the same page. No more whisper down the lane.
Nice. Okay. Let's change topics just a little bit from sort of the benefits of payroll and HR and the way that it can make a company more strategic. Let's talk about implementation. And implementing a new payroll solution can sound and feel daunting. So, from your perspective and what you've seen in the industry, how long does it typically take?
Well, Mark, it is daunting and it does take time and resources, but let's just rip the Band-Aid off because inefficient systems put a drag on our organization. But to answer your question, how long does it take? It varies based on the needs of the client. So let's talk more generally about what our partners recommend since each migration is so bespoke. To address how implementing a new payroll system, particularly for specialized industries like construction, require careful planning and execution. The time frame for an implementation can vary widely on several factors, including the complexity of the payroll system, size of the company, the scope of the migration, and the specific features. But as a general outline, let's talk about the process involved. You have preparation and planning. A good process should start with a needs analysis to identify our specific needs, what features we require in a payroll and a workforce management system. We have a vendor selection. We want to reach out and identify who the appropriate vendors are that offer cloud-based solutions tailored for the payroll needs of a construction entity. We want to have our project planning. We want to develop a plan that includes milestones, timelines, and disseminates team members responsible for each phase. So we want to sort of have that delegation of responsibility, plan it out. And we have data migration. We have some data cleaning to do for our old data. We're going to plan that data transfer. And then we're going to wonder if all of our system configuration information is in place. That can take 1 to 3 months, depending on how much time and how the status of your data is. There's testing and training. We can take another month or two to do time for testing and training. It's important to thoroughly test all of your information, and even more important to train all your people on how it's used. Once we go live, we don't want any confusion. The adoption of a system really comes with an understanding of the system. The more I understand, the more I can embrace. Beyond the testing and training, we're going to need some go live support. Just beyond go live, once we switch the system, we're going to want to make sure all the reports are functioning properly and that everyone's received all the information. We might spend about an hour in this process and then take a moment to look at our post-implementation and figure out what changes need to be made. In total time, you could spend 3 to 6 months or more. Keep in mind, these are estimates, and the actual timelines can be shorter or longer based on your circumstances. But it's crucial to maintain an open dialogue and do accurate and well-planned of your data for a smooth payroll startup on the other side.
Yeah, excellent. And I appreciate what you've shared. We want to deal in reality. And so we understand this is not a next done type exercise. But what you are saying is that the work and the effort is worth it.
Measure twice, cut once, Mark. Just like every other thing we do, we want to get it right the first time, and the best way to do that is to plan and test.
Outstanding. Okay, good. We are just about 5 minutes away from our wrap-up time. So I had one final question, and then also wanted to see if there were any questions that were perhaps put in the chat, or if anybody had raised their hand. My last question is, if somebody listening today is interested in discussing payroll options, how can RKL help?
Wow, Mark, what a great question.
I actually wrote that one myself.
I know, and typically when you answer yourself, but here we go. I'll run it your role. RKL will send you a survey. We have some information that we would love to collect. It helps us understand the nature of your needs so that we can plan an appropriate discovery call with you. We're going to take about 30 minutes to go through this outline that we provide you. And then from there, we'll be able to provide recommendations from our strategic partners and schedule follow-up presentations. For those interested today in exploring some more of the payroll options, we can assist you through. And I think, Mark, you plan on sending some follow-ups after today's meeting. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, for all of our attendees, we want to be able to provide some more specific information. We work with a number of strategic partners who focus on construction payroll. we recognize, and everyone listening well knows, too well perhaps, that construction payroll is complex. And so it's not just any old payroll HR solution. It has to be a partner and an organization that focuses and understands the complexity and has a solution to match. So we feel great about the folks that we've partnered with. Clients have benefited from their solutions. And so we look forward to specific interaction about asking questions, understanding your current situation, really kind of diving deep and understanding those details of what you need and what your ideal future looks like, and then being able to facilitate these introductions, product demonstrations, and ultimately saying, hey, let's move forward with implementing some of these strategic payroll and HR solutions. So with that, Ben, were there any questions?
Yes, Mark, we have a question from Judy here. How can we just get year-end payroll updates and not have to pay so much for maintenance when we don't use much of the other update information?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Judy, for that. And that sounds like somebody who has a payroll solution that they have been managing internally, and once a month get payroll updates from the vendor, need to pay for those payroll updates. Ultimately, we think an ideal approach to that would be to do what we've shared today, to be able to examine or take a look at some more modern applications. They're cloud-based and they update far more frequently than once a year. And so the value of the solution is not just the once a year payroll tax updates, but all of the benefits that we've talked about today. And so that's something that we can speak to you more specifically about and be able to say, hey, how can you move away from this once a year updates and some of the challenges that it represents to something that's much more dynamic and strategic?
Good point, Mark, but we don't want to forget that Springfield and any other local, state, or federal can make changes during the year. So often those updates have an impact on your processing. Other updates often amend the software. It's hard to think about just one update once a year. But if you did move to a modern cloud-based application, none of that would be your headache. Those updates would happen seamlessly overnight, and the information would just be there.
Fantastic. Yep. Well, that is about all the time that we've got today. Ben, thank you for this discussion. For everyone listening, thank you for your time and attention. We look forward to following up with you and for RKL being a strategic resource for you and your organization. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.